In spite of the fact that the Jurassic Park movies have boasted a plethora of A-list actors, the dinosaurs are obviously the major stars of the franchise. The likes of Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, Sir Richard Attenborough, Samuel L. Jackson, Vince Vaughn, Julianne Moore, William H. Macy, Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Vincent D'Onofrio are just some of the big names that have appeared in the franchise to date. But those guys are all overshadowed by the likes of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Velociraptors, and the Brachiosauruses. But have we actually seen any of those creatures? Or indeed any dinosaurs at all? This video looks into the theory that there haven't been any actual dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park movies, and that the whole concept is a sham to attract gullible tourists. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's the best way of keeping up to date with all of Screen Rant's great new videos.
Hold on to your butts.
So, as we were saying in the introduction, this theory suggests that there hasn't been a single dinosaur in any Jurassic Park movie to date. Those being 1993's Jurassic Park, 1997's The Lost World Jurassic Park, 2001's Jurassic Park 3, and 2015's Jurassic World. What it actually suggests is that the dinosaurs John Hammond and his band of elite scientists created were created from scratch using DNA cobbled together from animals, and not from dino DNA sourced from ancient mosquitoes preserved in fossilized amber.
What you're doing here, what you have done.
Claiming that the animals on show in the park were dinosaurs was just a stunt, or a hoax, if you wish to call it that, to fool gullible rich tourists who didn't know any better.
Didn't occur to you maybe that's in poor taste?
The shirt? Yeah, no, it did. I understand people died. It was terrible, but that first park was legit.
As far as we can tell, the origin of this theory is a Redditor with the username BrownRaw04, and it actually makes a heck of a lot of sense, not least because the entire premise of Jurassic Park is fundamentally flawed.
After careful consideration, I've decided not to endorse your park.
It obviously centers around the idea that genetics experts were able to extract dinosaur DNA from the aforementioned mosquitoes preserved in prehistoric chunks of tree sap. But this is quite literally impossible. DNA only has a half-life of around 521 years, meaning that after that amount of time, half of the nucleotide bonds that hold it together are broken, and after another 521 years, those bonds are cut in half again, and so on and so on. Any DNA that was initially preserved inside that amber would have long decayed beyond any possible use after 65 million years. There would essentially be no DNA left there, period.
Yes, again, in theory.
Moreover, there's no way you would find a mosquito whose blood intake was limited to one particular species of dinosaur. So, even assuming the DNA was still salvageable, there would be hundreds, if not thousands, of different DNA strands in each mosquito. Extracting DNA from one would be like wiping a cotton swab on a public toilet seat in a badly maintained gas station.
You will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything.
With that in mind, the only way, quite literally the only way, for Jurassic Park to get its hands on anything remotely resembling a dinosaur would be to have their scientists create them from scratch. This would be an adequate way of explaining why the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park look how we've been led to believe that they look over the years, as opposed to the way they really looked when they were thriving millions and millions of years ago. A prime example is the Velociraptor. In reality, the raptor was barely any bigger than a modern-day turkey.
That doesn't look very scary. More like a 6-foot turkey.
But in the Jurassic Park movies, they're vicious killers who are taller than the average human. They also had feathers in reality, unlike the Jurassic Park versions. In fact, most dinosaurs probably had feathers, whereas none of them in Jurassic Park had any. And look at the Dilophosaurus. Fossil records provide no evidence whatsoever of it being able to spit poisonous, sticky venom to paralyze its prey, and there's nothing to suggest it had an expanding, rattling neck frill either. Essentially, Jurassic Park scientists added these things to make the species more interesting.
Cooler, I believe, is the word that you used in your memo.
You may also remember that all the dinosaurs were engineered to be female.
How do you know they're all female? Does somebody go out in the park and pull up the dinosaur skirts?
But some of them spontaneously changed sex in order to breed. This was explained as being due to the fact that frog DNA was used to fill in the sequence gaps in their genetic code, and that some frogs were capable of changing sex.
Now,
Some West African frogs have been known to spontaneously change sex from male to female in a single-sex environment.
But could it actually be because frogs were simply part of the bizarre cocktail used to create these dinosaurs from scratch? If there's one thing Jurassic World proved, it's that the scientists responsible for creating these creatures were capable of mixing the DNA of various animals to create a single creature, specifically the Indominus Rex. The predatory abomination had DNA from modern-day cuttlefish, tree frogs, and pit vipers. Very scary. As well as DNA from Jurassic World's versions of Tyrannosaurus rex, Velociraptor, Carnotaurus, Gigantosaurus, and many other dinosaurs. It could simply be that the original Jurassic Park dinosaurs took DNA from lizards, snakes, and birds, as well as larger animals like blue whales and elephants, in order to give their creatures the size needed to emulate the physical scale of real dinosaurs from millions of years ago. With enough trial and error, animals of all manner of shapes and sizes could be engineered to look similar enough to different species of real dinosaurs to fool ignorant and uneducated visitors.
Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
It was also made very clear that Jurassic Park's founder, John Hammond, became rich enough to create the park by selling people false realities. For example, he gave a big speech about the fact that he started his career with a motorized flea circus that had children believing they could see fleas on the trapeze and parading around.
People would say they could see the fleas. Oh, I can see the fleas, Mummy, can't you see the fleas? Clown fleas and high wire fleas and fleas on parade.
Of course, he then insisted that he wanted to give people something that wasn't an illusion when it came to Jurassic Park. But doesn't that sound like something someone would say if they were actually wanting to create an illusion? In the Lost World Jurassic Park, it was revealed that the laboratory on Isla Nublar in the first movie, where the baby raptor hatchling was born, was just a show for the tourists. So despite Hammond's insistence that he had been there for the birth of every creature on the island, he was obviously lying. The majority of them were actually born on an entirely different island, Isla Sorna, which was Jurassic Park's breeding ground, which further emphasized Hammond's tendency to tell lies.
Yes!
You might also remember Ellie Sattler pointing out that Jurassic Park was littered with extinct species of plants. But plants can't be created by using mosquitoes encased in amber, so how on earth did that happen? The only possible explanation is that they were artificially engineered using a combination of existing plants. So when Sattler, Alan Grant, and Ian Malcolm were invited to the park to supposedly determine whether or not it was safe for visitors, is it possible that they were actually invited to put the park's great illusion to the ultimate test?
I don't believe it. You all meant to come down here and defend me against these characters, and the only one I've got on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer.
Hammond probably thought he could fool anyone into believing Jurassic Park was full of extinct flora and fauna. If he could fool a paleontologist, a paleobotanist, and a famously very skeptical mathematician.
Chaotician, actually. John doesn't subscribe to chaos, particularly what it has to say about his little science project.
You've got to admit, all of that's pretty convincing.
What John Hammond and InGen did at Jurassic Park is create genetically engineered theme park monsters, nothing more and nothing less.
And that's the end of our video. Did you enjoy it?
It could have been worse, John. A lot worse.
Do you think we've actually seen any dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park franchise? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Screen Rant for more great videos like this one.
Look, I get it. You're in charge out here. You got to make a lot of tough decisions. It's probably easier to pretend these animals are just numbers on a spreadsheet. But they're not. They're alive.
Bye for now.